Caitlin Clark was just named Time's 2024 Athlete of the Year, and she gave her most vulnerable interview yet, even commenting on some of the most controversial issues surrounding her this year.
The WNBA thought they had a golden ticket, but they never expected it to come with a receipt. For months, the league has been scrambling, trying to contain the chaos surrounding its newest superstar. But after Caitlin Clark finally broke her silence in a bombshell new interview, the truth is out. The WNBA isn't just dropping the ball, they're fumbling their future, and the one person they were counting on to save them is now the one exposing their every flaw. The league prayed for a savior, someone who could elevate the sport to unprecedented heights, but they were completely unprepared for the revolution she brought with her.
She admitted it here that it was so much harder going to the WNBA, but also that she was able to rise to the occasion and become a better player.
From the moment she stepped on a professional court, there was a target on her back. This wasn't the usual rookie hazing. It was a calculated campaign of physical intimidation. The most blatant example came from Chicago Sky's Chennedy Carter, who didn't just foul Clark. She blindsided her with a vicious hip check while the ball was nowhere in sight and was caught on camera calling her a bitch just seconds before. This wasn't about tough defense or a welcome to the league moment. It was a message sent from a league establishment that seemed to resent the very attention Clark was bringing them. A jealous rage playing out in real time.
The players of the WNBA can't fucking stand her. Why? Because she's white. It's abject, absolute racism. It's total racism.
What happened next? Revealed everything you need to know about the WNBA's priorities. The league did absolutely nothing. For a full 24 hours, the illegal off-ball cheap shot was treated as nothing more than a common foul. It was only after a massive public outcry and a media firestorm threatened their credibility that the WNBA reluctantly upgraded it to a flagrant one foul. They didn't act to protect their star player. They acted to protect their image from a PR nightmare. This embarrassing delay showcased a league in complete breakdown mode, reacting to fan anger rather than enforcing its own rules.
Cheryl Swoops and others who were clearly distant and dismissive of her, no matter how much they try to deny it, there was resentment towards her. And here's why I said it was stupid.
This exposed a shocking double standard of toughness that would never fly in any other major sports league. The WNBA allows a narrative where this kind of aggression is just part of the game, but only when it's directed at Clark. Can you even imagine if a rival player did that to Steph Curry or Luka Doncic? The league would issue a suspension and a hefty fine before the game was even over. There would be investigations, statements from the commissioner, and a clear message that stars are protected. But in the WNBA, when it happens to Caitlin, it's spun as her needing to toughen up. It's a transparently false narrative used to excuse the targeted hostility she faces every night.
Still fell victim to being in the middle of all of these controversies. So the fact that she saw some of that and she feels that way kind of sucks.
But the on-court attacks were nothing compared to the ultimate betrayal, the Olympic snub. The official story peddled to the public was that she lacked experience, a laughable excuse for a player who broke nearly every record in college and was already dominating professionally. Insiders quickly leaked the real shocking reason. The selection committee was reportedly terrified of how Clark's massive fan base would react if she made the team, and then spent the whole time on the bench behind less popular veterans. They didn't cut her because she wasn't good enough. They cut her because her stardom was too massive and inconvenient for them to manage.
A two-time league champion and now three-time WNBA MVP told the Associated Press she thought Clark's race was a huge contributor to her popularity. It doesn't matter what we all do as Black women, we're still going to be swept underneath the rug. That's why it boils my blood when people say it's not about race, because it is.
This single decision was an act of stunning financial self-sabotage. The Caitlin Clark effect is real and it's spectacular. She single-handedly forced the league to adopt charter flights, a move they had resisted for years. Arenas are selling out for the first time in history, and TV ratings have shattered all previous records. She is a walking, talking stimulus package for a league that has struggled for relevance for decades, and their response to bench their biggest financial asset during the largest global sporting event on the planet. It's not just bad strategy, it's business malpractice on an epic scale.
She said, I want to say I've earned every single thing, but as a white person, there is privilege. A lot of these players in the league that have been really good have been black players. This league is kind of built on them. The more we can appreciate that, highlight that, talk about that, and then continue to have brands and companies invest in those players that have made this league incredible, I think that's important. I have to continue to try to change that. The more we can elevate black women, that's going to be a beautiful.
This decision also exposed a deep-seated rot within the league. The old guard is terrified of the future. They see Clark not as a rising tide that lifts all boats, but as a threat to their own fading legacies. Veterans seem more interested in protecting their turf than in building a new dynasty for the league. Leaving the most popular player on the planet off the Olympic roster wasn't about team chemistry. It was a political move designed to keep the old hierarchy in place, even if it meant sabotaging the league's own growth and alienating millions of new fans.
For 22 plus years, they had been flying commercial. They were begging for chartered flights. She arrives there, and 2 weeks later, they got chartered flights.
The opening shot in this internal war was fired before Clark even played a single professional game. It came from WNBA legend Diana Taurasi, who went on a national broadcast and infamously warned that reality is coming for Clark, predicting she would struggle against the physicality of the pros. At the time, it sounded like a veteran's tough love. In hindsight, it sounded like a threat. Taurasi's comments set the tone for the entire league, essentially giving players a green light to target Clark with overly aggressive play under the guise of welcoming her to the league. It was a prophecy that her peers were all too eager to fulfill.
And she does very well, and she wins games, and she puts butts in the seats, and she sells tickets, and she gets people tuning in on television. And all really we want to hear from anybody about this is thank you. Thank you to Caitlin Clark for making our league relevant and so on. But instead, she's been bullied repeatedly by the players in this league. She's been assaulted physically. She's been scratched in the eye. And I mean, all of this is on camera. We've covered it repeatedly.
Through it all, Caitlin has played a brilliant game off the court, navigating the chaos with a composure that defies her age. In her jaw-dropping Time magazine interview, she masterfully refused to take the bait thrown by reporters. When asked about the relentless physicality and the cheap shots, she calmly called it part of the game, completely denying the media the dramatic, victimized headline they so desperately craved. Instead of crying foul, she showed an ice-cold professionalism that made her critics look even more desperate and petty in comparison. She was playing chess while they were all playing checkers.
She automatically and instantaneously improved the conditions. Attendance is still lagging. WNBA is still losing money compared to what you would hope it would earn, but clearly things are on an upward trending trajectory. It's improving, and she has everything to do with it.
But don't mistake her composure for weakness. In the same breath, she took a direct and calculated shot at the media circus that has sprung up around her, stating that most of the people criticizing her in the league haven't watched a single game. It was a stunning moment of raw honesty that exposed the ugly truth of modern sports coverage. A legion of unqualified bloggers, podcasters, and talking heads are using her name for clicks, creating inflammatory narratives that have nothing to do with the actual sport of basketball.
Sinful of the folks, primarily the white folks, who basically disenfranchised y'all all of these years before she came along, who denied you the acclaim and the allure and the profits you richly deserved. But you don't take that out on Caitlin Clark, not her.
These media instigators have become a central part of the problem, purposefully fanning the flames of division for their own gain. After every game, interviewers ask tone-deaf and leading questions designed to bait players into making controversial statements. They twist every foul and every interaction into a referendum on larger social issues, ignoring the game itself. The league, in its incompetence, has allowed these outside voices to define its biggest star, turning what should be a celebration of talent into a toxic, politically charged spectacle that serves no one but the clickbait artists.
WNBA draft, games on ABC, ESPN, television ratings. She's directly responsible. And people were resenting her for it, like she was the cause of the problems that they had for the lack of recognition. No, she just happened to be born white.
The chaos peaked during the infamous Dejanai Carrington eye poke incident. After Carrington clearly and intentionally poked Clark in the eye, she proceeded to mock her online. The situation then spiraled into the bizarre. In a truly baffling twist, the WNBA Players Union jumped in to publicly defend Carrington's actions, effectively siding against the league's biggest and most valuable star. Caitlyn was once again forced to be the only adult in the room, stepping in to de-escalate a firestorm that the league and its own Players Union seemed intent on fueling for reasons no one can understand.
The bench. She said, "I don't even know if she really knew what happened. Honestly, I don't think she was cheering because somebody hit me. I really don't think that would be the case."
This is the WNBA's biggest and most catastrophic failure. They have completely lost control of their own narrative. Instead of promoting the incredible talent, the historic ratings, and the on-court drama, they've allowed every single incident involving Clark to be hijacked by outside forces and turned into a toxic culture war. Commentators have turned the simple act of playing basketball into a DM debate about race, jealousy, and gender politics, and the league just sat back and watched its own product become a tabloid sideshow, alienating fans in the process.
A lot of even like political outlets that were taking some of these videos and trying to comment on them or share their opinions on them. And some of these political news people don't know a thing about sports. So just honestly, to me, it was comical sometimes seeing some of these political pundits like trying to commentate a game. It was bad. It was all bad. So I get what she's saying in that.
A huge part of this manufactured narrative has been the rivalry with Angel Reese. While rivalries are great for sports, the league and the media have allowed this one to turn ugly. After Reese was upgraded to a flagrant 1 foul for hitting Clark in the head, the discourse immediately shifted away from the play itself and toward the larger, toxic narratives. Instead of fostering a healthy competitive spirit like the Bird versus Magic rivalries of the past, the WNBA is passively watching as this one is defined by cheap shots and racially charged commentary from online trolls.
It's like, hey, the game's physical, I just go about it. And I think that that's the mentality that she needs to have.
While everyone else was caught up in the drama, Caitlyn made a genius business move that proved she's always 3 steps ahead of the chaos. She quietly turned down an offer to join the new unmatched 3-on-3 league, a side project started by other WNBA stars. While others were chasing a quick offseason paycheck and risking injury, Caitlyn chose to invest in herself and her long-term career. Her message was crystal clear: she's focused on greatness and championships, not on short-term gimmicks. That intense focus is already paying off, and in doing so, she's quietly exposing the shocking coaching malpractice that held her back at the start of her season. She recently revealed that under her fired coach, Christy Sides, the offensive strategy was basically, here's a ball screen, go figure it out. It was a subtle but absolutely devastating critique of a coach who was given a generational talent and had no idea what to do with her. Now under new coach Stephanie White's structured and sophisticated system, both Caitlyn and her team are thriving, proving once and for all that she was never the problem. In the end, Caitlyn Clark is forcing a reckoning upon a league that was not ready for her. The WNBA wanted her fame, her ticket sales, and her historic TV ratings, but they were completely unprepared for the intelligent, composed, and fiercely resilient woman who came with it all. Her refusal to break under the immense pressure has exposed the league's petty politics, its financial incompetence, and its shocking inability to protect its own future. They thought they were getting a new face for the league, but what they got was a revolution. And now the question is no longer if she will change the game, but if the WNBA will be smart enough to survive her.